Good afternoon, LinkedIn friends, Value First Nation. Welcome to another episode of Value First Platform Data Modeling with AI. Today, we're going to be getting some help, hopefully, from Breeze Assistant to start building out the new project object in HubSpot. Here with Trisha. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing good. This is one of my favorite shows because we don't come in with any expectations. It was awesome when we got together at Inbound, and I asked you what you're hoping to accomplish, and you just said, "I just want to have fun. Like it's fun continuing to do these things," and it was a pleasant, break from the norm of what you usually hear in response to that question. So thank you for that.
I use AI, or at least my ever hopeful, optimistic view of AI is that it's going to free me from doing all of the rote things, the rote, boring tasks of my life. That I'll just be able to push a button and everything I don't like, because I'm bored with it, will get done. And that frees me to only just to do more learning, right? Because every activity from here forward, as soon as I can actually get this working, is like learning new things and just let AI do everything that I already know how to do. That's what I'm hoping.
That is, I think that is a fair goal. I think also, and what we're going to get into today is like we make a lot of decisions to not do things because there's a lot of effort, or we've already done it a certain way and it just feels bad. We're redoing it. I think we're going to see a lot of that with the HubSpot project object and project management in general. That's been happening either other ways in HubSpot or in other systems. And the question keeps coming up as HubSpot does such a good job of tackling so many use cases. Like, when do I wind down the other tool? When do I undo this workaround, this beast of a workflow that I created to help with all this stuff? And now it's just done for me in Data Hub. But if I can't have them both on at the same time, all those things are coming up. So what I hope to show today is reliance on Breeze Assistant and this intelligence layer inside of HubSpot to help with that some way, somehow. One, it reduces like the mental load and anguish of like, oh, I just did that. Like, I just don't even want to think about it for 3 months, even though it would be clearly the best thing to do. Right. Sometimes you need a minute, especially when HubSpot's changing so fast. Right. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, am I going to do all this work? And then they're going to change it again. Like, is this real? It's in beta. Like all these things. And when you can fit AI into those spots, all of a sudden it's like a lot less risk because you're not spending the effort to try the new thing, to build the new thing. And it's such a learning process. Almost every time you can take that approach. Are you interested in trying that today?
Yeah, 100%. Let's give it a try. The other thing, so I know that we're going to take a look at project management today. The other thing I'm interested in seeing is that one of the agencies that I work with, they've actually invested a lot of time building out projects in HubSpot so that when they manage projects for their clients, they have projects that are already built out. And to your point just a minute ago about like, when do I move? When do I do it this way versus that way? One of the disappointing things about, for them at least, about this project management tool is that it didn't build off of the old one. It's in a completely different space.
Yeah. One of those things.
It's one of those things.
And this is why it took so long, I think, to get us here. There's several things like this that was just built on a separate infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
And to their credit, they try not to just, if it might feel like they do this sometimes, or just start throwing things at the portal and trying things. But with something like project management, like until they had tasks in a better place, until they had the CRM view that now has Gantt views in it in a better place, like they needed so much flexibility that the system was not originally designed for, because it's not, doesn't have the DNA of a project management tool. It's about customers and communication and a lot of the structure required. So I've been told, to do project management effectively. It just wasn't, it wasn't in the DNA is the best way I like to talk about it, because on the other side, you have places like monday.com where they started as a project management. And at the end of the day, all of these systems are just databases and objects and properties. And so companies like that say, oh, we can do a CRM too. But then when they do that, because project management was the DNA, it's not nearly as user friendly. It doesn't manage communication as well. So I always like to think about that from the software perspective, like what are these systems like meant to do? So I'm not surprised it took us this long. I'm also not surprised that we didn't, it's not being built off of the old tool. And I'll share what we're talking about here. But before I forget, I got to get better at talking about this stuff. A lot of what we're going to do today, like we plan on teaching things like this in this course. We've been talking about this for a while. Our goals with this course, with this boot camp, is just to teach AI literacy and AI conversational skills at the end of the day, right? Because you have all this, like you're paying for this, like inside of your HubSpot portal. You could be getting a lot of value, and if you're just choosing not to, press this button up here, and you never want, to talk, you're not sure, like you're just missing out on a ton of value. And our hope there is just to get you started. First workshop is next week, and we're excited to get that started. So we have this new projects object that everybody was excited about at first. A lot of people still are. I mean, this Gantt chart. I mean, come on. Like,
I'm excited about it.
who was prepared for this when it was announced? Zero. Like zero people were ready to see this level of visualization. It's like, yeah, we're seeing the reporting, but then they drop Gantt view and map view and calendar view, like at the same time. It's like, wow, you can really do a lot in here. And I noticed with AI specifically in the early days, one of the things I was relying on Claude for was it could handle the visualization part. Like the tasks could be as clunky as all get out in HubSpot, but as long as Claude could read it, I could ask for a Gantt chart and it creates it, right? And in that moment, that helped me realize like why people don't think HubSpot's been ready for project management, because you can't do things like Gantt charts and visualizations and these kinds of things. So I've been super interested. So right away I started with Claude. Like I said, okay, let's assume Claude's going to manage the visualizations. I still want to figure out project management inside of HubSpot. So we talked about a data model and created projects, and I've been doing similar things with post-sales objects, one of which called deliverable, which is basically project management after the sale. As they drop this, like this Gantt view is also available for the services object, which they came out with last year, which makes sense. So what I did a couple weeks ago on the Profoundly portal was I just said, hey, go look at those objects that I had built to be project management for content creation and events. And I want you to find the properties that make sense for this use case and put them all in the project object. And that was on like a Saturday, I think. And after we did that, we moved a lot of records over to the project object. And I was able to do all that with Breeze Assistant.
Mhm.
We're going to try and repeat that process in this other portal today. But we talked to Trisha last week, and she was a little jealous that I was able to create properties with Breeze Assistant, and she was unable to. But you said you were able to create something recently.
I was in my learning curve up to that point a week ago was that you have a unicorn portal, and that's what Breeze was actually telling me, is that you have a unicorn portal with special powers, and that's why you were able to create properties that I wasn't. But just for the hell of it, on yet another portal last week, I created just a single, not even, wait, this is like day before yesterday, just one property, and it created the property. It would not create a workflow for me, but it did create a property. And I was like, whoa, how did that happen?
Well, I feel your pain, because earlier this morning, Casey and I were working on like not revamping, but just building more value into all the updates content that we have. So we're working on the blog, and we're trying to tag things effectively. And last week, I had created this like HubSpot tag property. And when I was doing that move to projects, and then a couple days later, I wanted to test it with, okay, when we're making a blog and we've got like all these updates, can we just ask Breeze Assistant for help in putting the right tags that are consistent? And when I did it a few days ago, it said, yeah, these are the ones that you should choose, right? And in this moment, I asked first, right? Set the tone. Do you know about this property, right? To understand that it has the context it needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And last week, I talked about how I don't trust Breeze yet, like I trust Claude, to be able to manage gray area context, right? And if you don't get it right, what I discovered this morning, as I was trying to take Casey through this exact same thing,
Mm-hmm.
I think there was one word off. Like, it wasn't like we didn't say in this CRM. So immediately Breeze starts searching the web. And that's after asking it to find something inside of this portal. That was the intent of the question, at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from that point on, we could not get it to look inside of the portal. It was looking at best practices and how other people create, tag properties and things like that. So it could not get to what we needed, is what are the exact options available in this property so that we can apply the exact tags needed to match up with the rest of the system, right? So Kate, we can't get it to work on Casey's side. And then I try it on my side this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it to work. But
Wait, but you again asked, is this
inside of the same portal, right?
Well, and you again asked the CRM, not this CRM.
Yeah. So sorry for being confusing. I'm not showing Casey's example. So this was my previous example that I knew worked.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with the same exact prompt,
Mm-hmm.
or I tried to. And because as she was asking, I tried to see how far we could go without exact context. Like, do we really have to do this every time? And ultimately, the solve for this is to build a knowledge vault and build an assistant and say, Breeze, you're in blog tagging mode right now. Like, please tell us what the tags are. But what was interesting you could tell when Casey was trying to do it, every time it would start with a web search. And in those moments, you're like, okay, the context that he's working with is not right. Right.
Mhm.
And that's where what I've seen is it's like, imagine the assistant just has the most wide open field of view
Mhm.
as you go to open this chat. And then whatever you start with, it tries to get it like down as little as possible, as narrow as possible. And
Mhm.
it's very hard to get it to open that back up.
Mm.
Right. So usually I'll try a couple back and forths, and if it doesn't work, we're starting a new chat. Like something went wrong in the initial context
Mhm.
framing that it doesn't think it can make properties, and we know it can, right? So we ran into that this morning. So it does happen, and I do think it's a lot about context engineering in this moment. So this is, maybe you could call it prompt engineering a little bit, and maybe I don't give that enough credit. But for me, context engineering like takes the portal into account. Like you can easily go take a prompt that somebody else says this is a template you can use, and then because you don't modify it for your portal, it's going to give you garbage, right? Because you're in a different space, you have different objects, you have different goals, you use the portal differently, all these different reasons, right? So an interesting experience this morning, and it's very frustrating when that happens. I agree.
It's super. Well, I'm gonna go look now because I'm like sure, like I'm sure my prompt was just fine. Feel
Right.
like I feel like it was, but anyway, one takeaway that's really valuable. So yes, that first prompt probably needs more thought than you think it does. Is maybe one lesson, and a second one is that when I first started giving AI prompts, I was very like passive and like do it and then just sit back and wait for it to tell me something. But what you were just talking about, I've started looking at the sources very closely now as well. So like as soon as it starts generating a thing, watching to see what sources it's looking at, I've also started to find very helpful in terms of like, is it completely lost? And it's so that very beginning stage is just it's more active than you think it needs to be, or like I find myself being more active than I was when I first started.
Yeah. And even in this context that we're in right now, the blog, you can't get it to not start here, right? So it's when it tries to understand what's happening in the vicinity, like this is the difference between, starting here and like starting up here, right? Um, and we were trying things like, okay, she had it highlighted and was asking it to do that stuff. So maybe it was getting confused from the text I was highlighting. Either way, we had to restart the prompt and like kind of reset. I think that's the best bet. Usually when you don't know why, like you can start to ask why. I think that's a good idea a lot of times. Like, why aren't you? That's where I'm much more uh satisfied when I'm having those kinds of conversations with Claude versus Breeze. With Breeze is like, oh, I'm sorry, I just told you I can't do it. Like, I don't know. Like, why are we even, let's not have a debrief session. Like, I just don't have access to your portal. And you're like, okay, you're not, this is not okay. Right. You just did it yesterday, bro. But on to the mission at hand, projects in HubSpot. So this is the projects tool that Trisha was mentioning, that there's actually a lot of people that have leveraged this in ways. And the way you get to it is projects all the way on the bottom here, right above sign out, right? Buried. Most people don't know about it. But what we're going to be talking about, and what's probably cool, let's try this. Let me build out the properties first, and then we're gonna come back and see if we can use this space to build out the other space. Okay.
The other thing I thought just interesting too, like, so the example that you just brought up was for onboarding. I have a client that uses pipelines for onboarding. Like, and it's like, I wonder how many, well, I was gonna say, I wonder how many workarounds there are for like
Oh yeah.
trying to use, like, to create some sort of project management within
Oh
HubSpot for things like onboarding specifically.
yeah. Oh, the worst offenders are when you run into deal pipelines that are like 20 stages long. It's almost always because they're trying to do project management at the same time as deal management, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't end in closed one, goes to onboarding, goes to invoiced, goes to all these things. Those are my favorite ones to run into because it's really easy to like unravel that. But you have to literally say like, oh, you have a services object now. Now we have a project object. Now we have an invoice object. Now we have this. But you don't have to live inside of the deal for everything. But it was like that because that was the only place people knew
Mhm.
there's like a
It had
staging gate
steps.
that had like a staging gate process in place,
Mhm.
right? So they would either have a bunch of different pipelines or one really long one. So that's where in those cases, let's say we're talking about one of those, they have properties, they have stages, they have all these things, infrastructure set up that hopefully I would bet that they could use Breeze Assistant to be like, hey, take these 10 stages of my deal and all the properties related to those stages and go put that in the projects object, right? So that's what we're going to start here. All right, let's ask, let's see, do we want to use, well, we'll just get right in. Like, hey, Breeze, can you tell me about the new project object in my HubSpot portal? So we're a long ways away, especially inside of HubSpot, from making assumptions about what Breeze knows or does not know, in my opinion,
Oh yeah, we are.
right? So I'm trying to ask a confirming question, right? By the way, did you see that new, like the little colored, what is
I missed it.
processing request? Okay, you'll see
I
it on the
missed
next one. I'm pretty sure that just changed
I'm
today.
actually, so that for that client that is using pipeline stages, I'm just sort of like asking the same question.
So the new project object in your HubSpot portal is specifically designed for project management use cases. Here's what you need to know. Gives me a purpose, ideal use case. By the way, if you just ask this about any of the non-contact company and deals objects in your portal, we would solve the knowledge gap so damn quick. This object is great if you're looking to formalize project tracking, coordinate multiple stakeholders or teams, and link related activities, deliverables. See, I have to tell it the word. Like it already uses the word deliverables. Oh, I guess I'll settle for projects and services. Or even expenses together in one place.
Ooh.
If you want details about how your project object is set up, such as its associations, or if you want recommendations to configure properties or workflows, let me know. I would love some recommendations. And I am curious if we have created any custom properties yet. At this point, I know the answer is no. So do you see this finalizing suggestions, this thing here?
Mhm.
right? That's new, right? The colors are new. Has it been doing that?
I feel like I have seen the colors, but
Okay.
don't
Maybe
quote
not.
me.
And here's what I love. I know we're on the right track when it starts giving me IDs and things like that. Currently has only default HubSpot properties, no custom fields. I need to be okay with the switch between properties and fields. Like, it's just, can we make it any more ambiguous? Key default fields include, okay, recommendations for custom properties, business impact category, lead consultant, framework pillar. Okay, starting to understand my portal a little bit. That's interesting. I wasn't necessarily expecting that.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
I expect that to be an outcome of what we're about to do, but I figured I would have to lead it in that direction.
Mhm.
So I'm going to ask, I'm curious, um, would you like help adding any of these properties, further customizing your project pipeline, or setting up automation based on project fields? So before I distract it with other questions, it already suggested it could make these properties. So I'm going to say, yes, please add these properties that you have suggested. All 6 recommended custom properties have now been added to your project object in HubSpot. See, this is when it's like you feel like you're on top of the world when this is happening,
You do.
right?
I
It
I am
gives me a
blocked by
link
I'm blocked by a permission setting on my portal, so I am not gonna be able to follow along there.
in this portal.
The one that
Oh, okay, good.
the one that I was
Yep.
like,
Um,
maybe we could transfer what they've already set up in onboarding pipelines into the projects tool.
yeah.
Not
Um,
today.
I think that's a good idea. Sometimes it'll give me a link to the data model area.
Mhm.
Sometimes the property settings. But one thing I'm trying to build a habit of checking. So first of all, how do you easily find these properties? It will always create a custom group that's like custom name of object information.
Mm.
And I've had less success trying to get it to make the group first and then say make it in this group. It will still default to this custom. But if we look at these properties, a couple things, we want to make sure that the property type is correct. And sometimes it can have some fun with the internal name that you don't want it to have if you have a very specific naming convention. Uh, this is why all of this, I'm going to make this look easy because we don't have a bunch of expectations and not a lot of, scope specifications, which for me is like the best place to put AI in. Uh,
Mhm.
but we've got this. And now I know at this point he's pulling it from some other object where this already exists. I'm about to ask him which one. But we've got, so I'm expecting 10 pillars here, which we see. Multiple checkboxes, conditional options, manage access, usage. Where is Okay, maybe. Yeah,
What are
I
you
probably
looking
can't do that with the project object yet. I was looking for the use in forms spot
Oh. Mm-hmm.
because that got me the other day with the HubSpot project tags. With the HubSpot feature tag property,
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to add it in a form and it wasn't showing up. And like a lot of those are default on to checkbox. So Breeze must have created it and not said show up in forms. So I wasn't expecting to see that.
Mm.
So that's something you might want to check if you're doing this on contacts companies, the things that you would want to put on forms, which I imagine, this is probably the project will be one of those things at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But success, 6 properties. Now I'm going to ask on the way to the goal of looking at other objects to just mimic them. Basically, I've confirmed the functionality is where we need to be for this chat. Uh, I am curious where you got the suggestion for the framework pillar property. I should have said thank you. I didn't. See, I'm just getting right into productivity mode. Directly inspired by your company's own value first framework referenced in your HubSpot portal's business description. Your organization's transformation model is structured around specific pillars. By creating a custom property where each project can be tagged with one or more of these pillars, you gain strategic insight into how your projects align with your core methodology. So it's actually not using the other objects, it's using like brand identity settings, like the AI source settings. That please, if you're gonna use Breeze Assistant, any AI tools, like go set that up, and just because we're good, like coaches, we're gonna do that over here. So settings, AI. First of all, you gotta turn all these buttons on if
Mm-hmm.
they're not on. And then we have brand kits, company profile, ideal customer profile. So we've got all that filled out. Yep. So already leveraging that in this new object. So,
So what's an example of a project that you would tag to culture?
So like, since these are all framework pillars, the idea is that somebody might come in and say, look, I know we need to use HubSpot better, but our culture sucks. So can you like help us come up with a plan to improve our culture so that people trust each other and we can actually have a chance at adopting CRM effectively,
Okay.
right? So we do a value for scoping project specifically focused on culture, which spoiler alert, this framework works like you converge on the same kinds of problems every time. And these are just different traps and ways to talk about the problems to get people's interest. But usually culture is almost always something that needs to be improved to build transparency and stuff like that. So these are related to the specific pillars of
People just don't trust HubSpot a lot of times.
the value. Yeah. And now they don't trust AI most of the time. So
We
good
really
luck
have our cut out for us.
good luck on your 90-day onboarding plan when nobody trusts the system. But the cool thing, and the a little bit off track here, but if you approach these projects from a trust-based milestone perspective, you can be done with this stuff in days because the build part is the easy part, right? So one of the things I do when working with AI is like get timelines like weeks, months, like out the window. Like none of that matters. It's either you trust AI or you don't. And as soon as you trust it, the build can happen very, very quickly. The training can happen very, very quickly because people are okay with using Assistant in this way to enable themselves, right? So, okay, great. I'd like to leverage the project object the same way that I have been using the deliverable custom object in this portal. Can you review that object and confirm your understanding of how I have been using it in this portal? Developing data model recommendations. That sounds so fancy.
Mhm.
Your deliverable object tracks nearly every key aspect of fulfillment, consulting, and capability building work, such as that stuff, lots of stuff. Yeah. How you're leveraging deliverables, implication for project object. If you want to leverage the project object the same way, you can mirror the most important custom property types, use associations aggressively. Can't do that yet as far as associating projects to everything that you want. Create automation. Can recommend a specific property association mapping plan. Want me to build you a step-by-step migration or integration plan. Some days I might say yes, just to see what this looks like. But today I want to build more properties. We are aligned. Can you? I'm feeling a little bit lucky here, so I'm going to ask for two things, knowing that it's not a good idea. Can you go ahead and build out the properties and pipelines that you think make the most sense to bring over to the project object?
So you think it's going to build pipelines?
I know that he can, because it's really just another property. That's how the system sees it.
Mm-hmm.
So to align the project object with your highly detailed deliverable custom object, I've analyzed all the properties and key tracking fields, proposed project properties to add, customer lifecycle stage. Yeah. Some interesting stuff in here. Pipeline recommendations. Okay, so he's not super clear there's some specific pipeline. There's like 24 pipelines built out on the deliverable object,
Mm,
but I'll do these first.
okay.
I'll just say yes,
24.
LFG. 24. That's right. While he does that, I'll show you what I mean. Custom objects. So very project management like, and so in terms of like whatever could be delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Like most oftentimes the only difference is like they have different stage and gate like processes. A lot of them have the similar ones. But this was from a perspective of I was thinking about manufacturing and services at the same time. So that's why there's so many.
Mm-hmm.
But like warranties is a good use case that usually falls through the cracks because nobody has an object in any of the systems. So unless you're going like full warranty management system or document management system, it gets made randomly as a $0 thing and people don't, it's just not one of those things that's not managed well usually in organizations that often care a lot about the revenue that's generated from warranties. But I digress. Your project object now has been supercharged, mirroring your deliverables use case for robust tracking, reporting, and consulting workflow management. Added project properties and created a project pipeline, consulting engagement journey, stages. Now, doesn't make a ton of sense. I'm happy that, so like all these pipelines end with delivered instead of closed. So I'm happy it brought that over. But let's view the project pipeline since we haven't clicked on that button yet. So it brought me over to the default one. I got to know to select this one. And here's the pipeline that it just made for me. Let's look at the properties. And I can already see that this number went up like significantly. Look at the groups. And the reason it went up so much, even though we only made 17, is that second pipeline created a bunch of project stage properties automatically.
Mm-hmm.
But if we look at view properties, we see all of the extra properties. A lot of these, all right, this is good. This one definitely came over. Some of them are new in that they weren't on the deliverable object, but this one was the value path stages and deliverable pillar definitely was. So this is meant to mimic like different revenue streams, right? That might be cared about. But yeah, so we successfully started moving over from the object from a custom object, which HubSpot is not building for specifically. So I cannot look at Gantt charts related to the deliverables object because it's a custom object. If I move all this over to the project object, all of a sudden I get the Gantt chart, like in the calendar view. Like those two things are things that a lot of people have wanted. So those usually might be reasons why you do the work to try and like get this going. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Trisha? Are we onto something here?
Well, we're doing it in the magic portal. So that's my big caveat. But yeah, so yeah, can we? How many steps from here to maybe taking some data from the deliverables object in one of the pipelines and trying to transfer it over and see how it does?
That would be the next step.
That's the
And
very
just
next step.
and since he's here already, I'm just gonna we can end with Zach and then start the next show with Zach, I think. So just bring him on. How
Okay.
you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Nice to see you, Trisha.
Nice to see you.
We're having fun with Breeze Assistant, making some projects, building out projects. And we just made a bunch of properties from the deliverable object that's in this portal. And now we're going to take some data and say, can you recreate some of the records, some of the deliverable records over in as new project records to test out the new build.
I caught kind of like what you were saying just at the end there as I logged in. So you were talking about moving things over to the new project object so you could use the Gantt chart view. Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Sure.
And any of the functionality. I think that's trying to figure out, like, we build so much stuff into like customization and workarounds and things like that. It's hard to know when to spin that down. I mean, it's conceivable that they start to add this kind of stuff to custom objects at some point, but I think project management.
Well, I mean, it's like any object where you have like a start date and an end date, you should be able to just apply the Gantt chart view to it in some way at some point down the road, right? You would hope.
Yep. But I think a lot of use cases that we run into, we were talking about earlier, like the deal pipelines that are like 20 stages long,
yeah,
like are often because they've got project management like built in as well. So what I'm trying to show here is like, can you use existing information in the system to help you build out the new thing that you've figured out workarounds and hacky ways to make HubSpot work for you in that way? Which if you had to do it all yourself, it's like an easy no, right? Like, I already did that work. Will I be gaining that much? I don't know. So let me just wait until I see everybody else using it. Sure. And then we'll do the work. Right now, the activation energy is low. I could just test it out, right? And just now, you made 3 records, right? That exist as deliverable records. I asked to make them in projects. I know what these are, and there might be some customer information on there, so I'm not going to click into them. But because we don't have to do the work ourselves, it's like, we can at least try it. Like, let's just try it and see. Like, not every portal is that fast and loose, obviously.
Yeah.
But finding those use cases with Breeze or AI in general, I think is so important to help us break free from like, oh, we have to have a scope. We have to, like, how many hours did we put in? If like so much value gets unrealized because we did it a certain way before and we don't want to have to rehash it. And
I see that all the time. You know, things get stale. Yeah, we set this up 4 years ago. It's been working fine. Why change now?
I just realized. Come on, guys, you got to help me out here.
Well, you said
I was not showing my screen.
I know. I didn't know if you were unintentionally not sharing.
You said customer data. I thought you might be hiding things.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't going to click in. I was all right.
So I think you also have to find.
I was expecting a reaction from Trisha. I did not get it. I'm like, what's happening here?
What's happening?
Yeah.
And then like, I guess is Gantt or Gantt charts, like, is that the only real differentiator right now that you're kind of comparing for projects, you know, that Gantt view and the calendar view kind of stuff versus like using a ticket with stages to manage kind of some kind of project handoff for something like an engineering
Right.
team,
I
costing
think
team.
that's where like everybody's kind of waiting on this, like the next level, which is subtasks
Yep.
and project templates. Like
Mhm.
when that comes out, which is in development, I think a whole chunk of the ecosystem like goes all in, right? Because those repeatable project templates where it's just like, all right, there's gonna be these 10 tasks. I don't have to make them every time. Custom.
Mhm.
Even there, I would say like you can ask Assistant to make that stuff for you, right? And that's just one prompt. And right away, you're starting to get visibility that you've never had before, like right next to the customer data. And it's just going to be really powerful. But I think that's everybody's like, there's some baggage related to tasks in HubSpot.
Yeah.
That are holding a lot of people back right now. But yeah, so what do you think? Now I'll ask, what do you think, Trisha? We recreated the records just like you asked.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
So now, like next week, the mission is figuring out how do we get to do it on your side, I think.
Yeah.
Let's figure out which portal has the right permissions.
That could be an episode all on its own.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it? Have you been tripped up by this, Zach? Like you try to go do a thing that you've seen somebody else do that you know is possible and you can't do it?
Like
Breeze?
With Breeze?
Yeah, with Breeze.
I haven't played around as much to get to that point.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a lot of my clients are still trying to fix the data problem before we get to the AI stuff. A lot of it is just kind of back to we need clean, data going in and good data governance. We need a process for collecting data before we do a whole lot more with it. Although I'm starting to have more conversations. Like I just had one earlier about at least like if you can't do anything with your structured data and you're not ready there yet, there are tools to now leverage all the unstructured data in HubSpot, and so like you could still be getting some really cool insights from that. So, but no, are what you're saying is like you're just doing like on your computer and Chris's computer, you guys may be doing the same exact thing and getting different results.
Yeah, so that, and even like day to day, you can be in the same portal on the same computer, same user, and like day to day, week to week, you can get different results too.
Yeah, that's I think also why I haven't gone too hard into any. It's just more. I'm exploring. I'm learning. It's. I don't think that even if I had like a client that was, kind of a lot further ahead in terms of like their learning curve, I still wouldn't be pushing a lot of the stuff to be like a solid part of your process yet until there's, at least they're out of beta, for some of the things that they're working on. And until you've just seen more consistency and a little more work put into them. So I think it's just more about learning and starting to come up with all the ideas, like how can we use these tools for what kinds of use cases as they get better and better. And what's our process going to be like to actually like put some guardrails here in place so we don't end up causing some chaos.
Yeah,
chaos.
Getting sued.
Definitely takes a certain kind of user demeanor.
Yeah, like I think I just read
right now.
Read something. It was like, I don't want to get this wrong, but I think it was like Deloitte or like it was a big, I don't know, it was a big consulting company. And they just got whacked with like I don't know what it was, several $100,000 in like lawsuits or fines because they provided like a whole report, like 300-page report that was just littered with, AI hallucinations.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Inaccurate
See,
stuff. So.
even the big boys
That's right.
are playing with this stuff.
And they got, bigger pockets. So, they have a lot more to lose than.
That's like they did the risk assessment.
Yeah.
They can handle a couple $100,000.
It's a couple $100,000, slap me on the
Let's
wrist.
see if we can get away with this one, boys. Nope. Okay, cool.
No, no big deal.
tried
I guess we're just not going to have Pizza Friday this week.
All right, Trisha. Well, thank you for having fun with me this week. We'll be back actually next couple weeks. I am not available, so maybe we can do a different day, or maybe we'll see each other at the end of the month.
All right. We'll check in on that.
Yeah, but thanks for data modeling with me and AI today.
Thanks, Chris. I'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.
See you, Doc. Bye.
Bye.